Welcome to Finland and the beautiful city of Hyvinkää. Coming up on today's very Finnish-themed programme, we'll be talking to the Ice One Racing boys about motocross injuries and recovery. We'll also be checking in with Harry Kulas. He's had a very up and down year, to say the least. And we'll have more news for you about the return of Husqvarna for 2014.
Round 12 of the FIM MX1 MX2 Motocross World Championship sees a return to Hyvinkää for the Finnish Grand Prix. We're about 50 kilometres north of the capital, Helsinki, just outside the town of Hyvinkää, and even though it's a first visit to this town since 1991, the circuit itself is just a stone's throw away from the original venue. There've been 21 Grand Prix held here, the first back in 1965. The first winner being Torsten Holman of Sweden, and it was traditionally a 250cc venue, apart from the 125 Grand Prix 20 years later. This weekend, though, we'll see the FIM MX1 and MX2 World Championship staged here for the first time. So it's a new country and a new circuit for everybody. So sit down, buckle up, and hold on tight. This is the Finnish Grand Prix.
Rehabilitation is an individual process. We're at a fitness centre in Hyvinkää city centre, and we've got two riders that are going to talk to us about injuries and recovery. Xavier, what's the key to good rehab?
To good what?
Rehab.
I think before you have to really know what you have, which your injury, and after to have rest, and then when you start rehab, you just have to take care to don't go too fast and that your injury come back.
As a motocross rider, are you near enough signing up the fact that you know at some point within the year you're going to get injured?
Yeah, I don't think about that, but as everybody knows, you know, motocross is quite a dangerous sport, so you need to be prepared for it, and the best way is to just be fit and do all the homework with getting your body ready for anything what can happen during the year. But we know that there is a dangerous sport, and we just need to be prepared for it.
Would you say it requires a special kind of mentality than your average person?
I think so. It's I can talk to myself about this year a little bit. That about 15 days ago I had surgery on my right knee, and then I raced Latvia last weekend, and I still had the stitches on, and you just need to go through it. I wanted to race, and I felt like I was able to, and it went good. But I think it's just that mentality is for sure different than a person who is just average, because they don't need to rush to do anything. Always a person that goes to work just stays home until they are good to go back to work. But we racing, and the team is all there, and everyone wants you to be back on the track, and that's what I did.
Would you say that pain threshold changes as you get older?
Yeah, of course you get more experience, and then you know that, like I said before, you don't need to ride with an injury, because you have really to be 100% to fight with on the top level, and it's better to wait and to come back really fit. But that, of course, when you are young, you just want to try, but it's not good.
Take a quick look on board then around this Hyvinkää circuit. Ice One Racing KTM rider Xavier Borg from MX1 and Harry Kulas from Sarkar Racing KTM in the MX2 category. It's about 90 metres to the first turn, through the left, dropping downhill into turn 2, 180 degrees, then back up in the opposite direction. Slight single jump and then a tabletop into another 180 right turn. Second, third gear over a single, hooking fourth gear over a short little plateau jump, followed by a tabletop, and then uphill onto the step up for the first time, the highest point on the racetrack. Ran a little bit harder up here, loose, stony. There'll be a choice of lines throughout the weekend as the racing progresses. Then it's over the Monster Energy step down, back into the bottom part, into the main grandstand area. Swinging through the right-hander into the turn 5. A single there, just to upset the balance of the bike before turning back on yourself over a bit of a spike through the corner. Then it's going to be really deep through turn 6. The slight kink to the left before getting back on the gas. And then hard on the brakes. There's going to be some big braking bumps through there. Over a double jump. That's going to be probably a little bit difficult for the riders before you swing left through a series of waves. That'll whoop out through here as well. Over a single, you'll be able to jump long. Fourth gear before braking hard over the short tabletop and then into turn 9. 180 degree left over a Monster Energy tabletop jump. Then we land, third gear, fourth gear, a short burst before flicking it through the left-hander. Again, there'll be some really big braking bumps through here. The next corner, double apex right, just opening up. It'll start to whoop out through there as well. And then we're into the wave section, about 7 waves through here. It takes us up to the final corner. Riders will take a varying combination through there. And it's on the gas, the Monster Energy finish line jump just here. That's a lap of Havinka.
Okay, Harry, you have just come in from your onboard lap. You're actually one of the very few riders to have ridden this track previously. How did it feel out there? Because I know there have been a few changes.
Yeah, they changed a lot of the track, you know, and but it's basically the same the ground. So I know the track quite well, and just few changes, but it's quite good, you know. I like it. It's home crowd here, and track is like my home track, so everything is like, yeah, it's like home, you know. So it feels good.
And it's now official, you'll stay with your new team for the rest of the year. How are things feeling on the KTM?
Oh, it's really good, you know. I got support from KTM Finland and also support from Sakar MX Racing team, so everything is working well, you know. We have a really good package, and everybody's working hard, and I'm really happy, you know. We have done 2 GPs, and it's going just really just good direction. So that's the main thing, and I'm happy, you know. So the KTM it's working good. So the main thing is I'm happy, you know, and I have good motivation.
Thanks for that, Harry. Right, you go and get yourself ready because it's time for MX2 Race 1.
Yeah, thanks.
In an eventful qualifying race on Saturday, Glenn Coldenhoff on the standing construct KTM took his 3rd pole position by winning the race. Jeffrey Hurlings went down at turn 1, and he'd be looking to avoid a similar thing in the moto itself, but it was Glenn Coldenhoff who stormed to the Get Athena whole shot ahead of Jeffrey Hurlings, and Dean Ferris, Jordi Tixier, found himself crashing out towards the end of the first lap, and he would remount just outside the top 20. It'll be a hard charge through the field for him. A little bit further back, Dylan Ferrandis on the number 122 machine, and Jose Boutron was in a battle with the 59 of Alexander Tonkov, and also Harry Kulash just popping into view there on the 151 Sakar KTM. And these guys would be battling over 6th, 7th, 8th and 9th place. Ferrandis tried a couple times up the inside of Alexander Tonkov, but he was unsuccessful on a number of occasions. Meanwhile, Jeffrey Hurlings was walking away with it at the head of the field, and 259 Coldenhoff was there, a comfortable 2nd place as well, so it was a Dutch 1-2. The Australian there, 111 Dean Ferris, was a sound, solid 3rd place, but the action was behind them between Ferrandis, who's charged up the inside of the 59 Tonkov. At the same time, Boutron heading past the Kulas machine. The 2 Wilvonistan JM boys of Jake Nichols and Roman Fevre had their own little battle. Jake Nichols going through, and just a few moments later, Roman Fevre pulled out of the race. Jeffrey Hurlings, though, was in a class of his own. Coldenhoff was in 2nd. Max Anstey was on the charge from a poor start, down in 21st position. He caught the rear wheel of the 59 Alexander Tonkov as they fought for 10th position in the closing stages of the race, but the Brit would not find a way through. Alessandro Lupino was another one of those riders who had a luckless race, went down on the first lap, came from 33rd to 18th. But Koldenhoff was on a mission in second, 152. Petr Petrov was having a good ride, but towards the end of the race, Dylan Ferrandis found himself crashing out of 5th place and would not score points in Moto number 1. Jeffrey Hurlings charged his way to an eventual 55-second lead over Jordi Tixier, his teammate. And when the flag went out, of course, it was a race 1 win for Hurlings. Koldenhoff second, Ferris third. In MX1, Clement de Sal took his second pole position of the season on the Rockstar Energy Suzuki with Cairoli second. But it was de Sal who swept through the first turn and picked up the Get Athena whole shot award. Gonsalves was second, Strybos was third, but Tommy Searle and Tano Leop just crashing out in turn 2 on the very first lap. As the race went on, Rui Gonsalves on the Ice One Racing KTM, who was initially in second position, let Cairoli through and then caught the rear wheel of the 6-time champion and went down and lost another position to Kevin Strybos. That put him in 4th place. Jeremy Van Hoorbeek started in 5th and would be a little bit up and down throughout the moto. Kenny Dijker storming through on his fellow Belgian. The Dijker, number 9, was looking a little bit menacing, with Van Hoorbeek trying to disappear. Gonsalves just behind him. Tano Leop would not score any points. He crashed again at turn 2 a few laps after the first turn incident, and he would not pick up points. Gauthier Paulin, though, the biggest save of the race, when he high-sided off the side of the bike. He slide-saddled, landed, ran off the track. A bit of a heart-pounding moment for him, but the big French guy would still hang on and go on to finish an eventual 6th place, despite another moment with Rui Gonsalves where he almost ran off the track. But Gauthier Paulin couldn't afford to give Tony Cairoli such an advantage. He lost a lot of points in Sweden and Latvia and was looking to do the same here again in Finland. Tough circuit here in Hyvinkää. Clement de Sal, though, in a battle with Tony Cairoli. Eventually, the Sicilian found a way through on lap 16 of 22, and from there he opened up a 6.7 second advantage over the Suzuki rider. Behind them, De Dijker and Strybos and Van Hoorbeek, they were all fighting over the final podium position, but Cairoli was in scintillating form, and once he was in the lead, was never challenged and never looked flustered either. So Tony Cairoli on Red Bull KTM took the checkered flag. He was a clear winner of de Sal. De Dijker eventually made it through to 3rd. Van Hoorbeek was 4th. Strybos was 5th.
Silly season began a few weeks ago, and the latest part of the puzzle to fall into place is that Christophe Charlier, only one of 2 men to beat Jeffrey Hurlings so far this year, has re-signed with Yamaha for a further 2 years, which should see the Frenchman move up to the MX1 class with the team in 2015. The FIM's Green Initiative was continued here in Hyvinkää, with 10 former and current world champions doing their bit by planting 10 trees in the MX World Champions Park. Kiss Hyvinkää, which means keep it shiny and sustainable, demonstrates the commitment of everyone involved in the championship to make sure we look after the environment in which we race and train. That was 10 riders with great World Championship history. I'm with Ice One Racing's Antti Pirinen. You guys will be starting a new chapter this year with Husqvarna.
Yeah, 2014 we become a factory team for Husqvarna, and yeah, it's a great opportunity for us, and I'm really looking forward to the future and to make successful work.
The announcement was made a few weeks ago, but how did it come around?
Yeah, we have been cooperating naturally this year with KTM, and they have a new brand, so
So they have been happy on our team's development and to our work, and it was quite a natural flow into that cooperation.
And do you know yet any of the riders?
At the moment not. We are negotiating with the riders, and hopefully I will have some news soon, but no, at the moment we don't know yet.
Will it change anything in terms of team structure, workload, being a full factory outfit next year?
Yeah, for sure. You know, there is always the same work which needs to be done, and our functions this year is already really close to a factory team. But of course, you know, we will get even more help from the factory, and on a technical wise, some new parts and stuff. So I think everything is just going to be a little bit more upgraded.
Well, thanks, Antti. I'm going to have to run now, get down to the skybox for the start of MX2 Race 2. Geordie, a great recovery job in that first race. What happened in the opening lap?
Yeah, I didn't take a good start, and in the first lap I jumped off the track on a double, and when I came back on the track, Pocock hit my front wheel, so I make a big crash, and I was complete last. I came back in a fifth place, so I had to push pretty much. I was a bit tired after the first moto, but I had a good recover between, and hopefully I can take a good start and make a podium again.
Petter, you spend most of your time training on sand, and it's showing here.
Yeah, I live in Belgium, so I like this track a lot, and as rougher it is, the better it is for me. So I hope they didn't do anything for the second heat, and we see how it goes.
After his convincing win in Moto number 1, all eyes were on Jeffrey Hurling to see if he could do it again, or to see if anybody else could take a victory. But going into the first turn, there were 5 or 6 guys went down as Jake Nichols caught the rear wheel of Alexander Tonkov's Honda, taking out Christophe Charlier, Ivo Monticelli, and also the guy who finished second in Moto number 1, Glenn Coldenhoff. Meanwhile, Dylan Ferrandis, who was leading the race, tried to pull out a gap, but Boutron soon came under pressure and was passed by Jeffrey Hurlings, who then went after Ferrandis towards the start of the second lap, and by then the Dutchman was already leading. You could say game over from that point of view in terms of the rest of the riders out on track, but behind Hurlings there were all kinds of battles going on. Jordi Tixier found himself into second, Dean Ferris found himself in a battle for an eventual third place finish between Dylan Ferrandis, Jordi Tixier and the number 17 of Jose Boutron. But it was the 9-11 Tixier who made the first move, passing the 122 of Dylan Ferrandis. Ferrandis then came under pressure. Hard moves from the number 17 Spaniard, Jose Boutron, pushing him back up a position momentarily. Then Dean Ferris found a way past the Frenchman. Put the squeeze on him into the difficult turn 5. Dylan Ferrandis dropped back behind the Australian. Dean Ferris then moved into 4th place. He had his eyes set on the number 17 of Jose Boutron, who bounced his way through turn 6. And Ferrandis and Dean Ferris was through. So Dean Ferris then tried to set about closing down a gap on Jordi Tixier, but that gap was just too big. Tonkov, though, number 59 on the Ester Motorsports Honda, found himself coming under attack and losing out to Romain Fevre, who went on to finish 5th in the second moto. Once again, number 300, Alessandro Lupino, had a mixed race, we could say. But during the end of the moto was coming under pressure from Max Anstey. Anstey, again, having a tough start outside the top 20 on the opening lap. Eventually found a way through, as you can see. And that put him into 7th place. But the checkered flag, once again, was readied. And it was Jeffrey Hurlings, who was another 52 seconds clear of Jordi Tixier. Ferris was 3rd for Monster Energy Yamaha, Boutron 4th. Romain Fevre was 5th. In the overall Grand Prix, it looked like that. Jeffrey Hurlings, Dean Ferris for the 2nd time this year on the podium, and Tixier for the 3rd week in succession, a 3rd place finisher in MX2. That's your podium then. Jeffrey Hurlings, Dean Ferris, Jordi Tixier. And for Jeffrey Hurlings, that's 12 wins in a row. He equals the 2006 record from his team manager, Stefan Everts.
Sean, you looked a lot happier on this track than you did in Kegham's.
Yeah, I think it was difficult to get a bit of a setup going in Kegham's, only riding Yamaha twice and hadn't really any time to do any suspension testing, but this weekend it's all about just gritting your teeth and getting on with it, really finding some good lines and just toughing it out to the end. So that's what I did in the first one. Shame I made a couple of mistakes, but I'm looking forward to the second one and should be good.
Kevin, in qualifying and Moto 1, it's been a bit of a Belgian fight. Are you all trying to book your place for Nations?
Yeah, you know, I'm just trying to do my best and just see what's going to happen for the Nations. I think they just have to pick the best team, and then hopefully it's me. If it's not, it's not, you know. So.
When the gate dropped for MX1, race 2. It was Kevin Strybos who charged into the lead. Once again, Rui Gonçalves made a good start, so too did Kai Rowley. He was in third as they hit turn 2. Tommy Searle was buried in around about 8th or 9th place. And as they headed uphill, Tony Kai Rowley made his move into second with a move on the Portuguese rider. De Sal was just behind there in 4th place, the second of the yellow Suzukis. Our onboard camera was Kevin Strybos on the Rockstar Energy Suzuki. Kai Rowley was close behind and didn't want to waste any time finding a way past the Belgian. As the rain clouds were looming large, he found a way through up the inside into that turn 5. And he tried to disappear at the head of the field. Meanwhile, Tommy Searle, the 100, found a way past this guy here. Gauthier Paulin was going after his teammate. Number 89, Jeremy Van Hoorbeek. Sean Simpson was ahead of both of them. Van Hoorbeek found a way past Sean Simpson, and that put him up into 6th place. Tommy Searle went through and then went after Clément de Sal, and this was the battle for third in the closing stages of the race. Tommy Searle forced de Sal into making a mistake in the final turn, and then he ran it down the inside of the Belgian, who ran wide again in turn 1. And the shenanigans weren't over at that point either, because de Sal really got his race face on, barged Tommy Searle out of the turn, off the track. Tommy Searle regained 3rd position, waited for de Sal to go back through, and then just after that, a lap or so later, the two came together again, and this time de Sal made absolutely certain that Tommy Searle wasn't getting up. When he did pick himself up, he came into pit lane for refreshments and a change of goggles, but he would only come home in 11th place. With about 2 laps to go though, the heavens opened, the rain started to come down. Gauthier Paulin found a way into 4th place, passing his teammate, but Tony Kai Rowley, as we saw in Moto number 1, was in dominant fashion. And when he came out of the final turn and took the checkered flag, it was win number 62 for Tony Kai Rowley, and his first ever victory in Finland. The overall Grand Prix then belonged to Tony Kai Rowley, another 50 points for him. Clément de Sal was 2nd overall, and his teammate Kevin Strybos was 3rd. De Dijker 4th, Van Hoorbeek was 5th, ahead of his teammate Gauthier Paulin with Gonçalves 7th and Bobryshev 8th. And 99 points separate Kai Rowley and Paulin now. It was just over 80, so another big points haul for Tony Kai Rowley with 5 rounds to go. And Heikki Mikkola, former 4-time World Motocross champion, on hand to deliver the winner's trophy to Antonio Kai Rowley for his hard-earned efforts this weekend in Finland. Of course, he still leads the championship now by a massive margin as we go to Germany in 2 weeks' time.
Well, the paddock has got a deserved 2 weekends off, especially for KTM. Some riders will have some wounds to lick, perhaps Tommy Searle, but we now know he'll be staying in Kawasaki Green for at least another year. We'll be back in 2 weekends' time at a new track in Germany.